Hello, my name's Ellie. I work in the learning disability team at Coleridge Road. Today, I'm going to show you something really nice that you can do to make paper look a little bit more interesting. I know that lots of us have been writing letters to friends and family while we're in lockdown and we can't see them. So I thought that I'd show you a way that you can make the paper that you write your letter on just look a little bit more interesting. So I'll show you what you need uh, to get started with this. And don't mind my mascot here. This is just a Tribble from Star Trek. If anyone is a Star Trek fan, I'm sure you'll have spotted that. So we'll leave him there to watch over proceedings. What you'll need then is a big sheet of baking paper, sometimes called greaseproof paper. So you need one of those just to make sure that you don't get any of the other things we'll be using all over the table. You need a bit of paper that you're going to put a pattern on. I used one with lines on it, but you can use a plain one. I'm just not very good at doing handwriting without lines. You need a couple of food colourings. Now, even though it's food colouring, very good idea not to eat anything that we'll be using today because it's not very good to be eaten. We'll be using a lot of shaving foam, and I can tell you it doesn't taste very nice. So 2 food colourings there. I've gone for red and yellow. You can use more if you have them. You're going to need some toilet roll or kitchen roll, just because it can get a bit messy, what we're doing. You need some shaving foam, because this is how we transfer the colour onto the paper. You'll need a cocktail stick. I've got one of these long ones, but the little ones work just as well. And you will need a spoon. I've got a big spoon, but it doesn't matter, any size spoon. And a knife. This is a paint knife, but just a butter knife works as well. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we've got our baking paper down. We're going to take our can of shaving foam and we're just going to spray loads of shaving foam all over the baking paper. Now, I love how shaving foam puffs up and how it feels, and some of you might be the same, some of you might not like it at all, but that's okay. That's why we've got our trusty spoon here, because we just want to spread the shaving foam out across the baking paper. Now, this doesn't have to be a perfect square or anything, but what we need to do is make sure there's enough shaving foam that the paper will fit on top of it later. So I'm just going to spread that out a little bit more, just so it's about even. Like I say, it just needs to be big enough for whatever size paper you are using. I'm going to put a little bit more in this corner. There you go. That is about equal. And I'm going to wipe this off with some of that toilet roll that I had. This is quite a messy activity, so you might want to make sure that you've got a bin nearby that you can just pop them into. There you go. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to drop some colour onto this white blank canvas of shaving foam that we've got. Now, this is gel food colouring. You can use liquid as well, but you're just going to put drops of food colouring all over it. And think about the colours that you might want to use. I went for red and yellow because they look really nice together and they look almost like fire, which I think is cool. I just think it looks very nice. So we've got loads of drops of red food colouring there, which you can see. You might not be able to see the yellow as well on the screen, but I think it will look really nice at the end. And I can show you once it's all done. So we're going to put some yellow on here as well. And it doesn't matter where you place the drops, just anywhere over the foam. My food colouring doesn't want to come out of here. There we go, that's better. And so like I say, we're just putting the drops anywhere we like on the paper. There we go. So we've got some lovely big blobs of red and yellow food colouring on here. And at the moment it just looks like some little dots on the paper. But that is where our cocktail stick comes in. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take it and drag it through the shaving foam very gently, because we don't want to rip the paper underneath. I'll just move this a little bit closer so that you can see what I'm doing. We're just going to take the stick and just gently drag it through all of those blobs of food colouring that we put on. And can you see how it's pulling the colour out of there, and it's making this beautiful pattern? So we want to go right through all of those little blobs of colour that we put on and just try and pull them out into the white foam. And I think this looks really pretty, especially with the red one. It makes this lovely pattern. I'm just going to pull through all of that red and yellow. And you can go around in a circle if you like, or you can just go straight up and down. Remember, we're trying to go through the middle of those blobs. This is quite relaxing, this part. You could even have some music on while you're doing this. And I love crafts like this because it really gives me a chance just to be calm and not think too much about what's going on in the outside world, because I know it can be a little bit stressful sometimes watching the news and seeing what's going on, and sometimes you just want to get away from it all for a bit, don't you? So this is a really fun way of doing that, doing something crafty to take your mind off what's going on outside. Just making sure my computer doesn't go to sleep there. Now this one is very red because the red kind of pulls through the white easier than the yellow does, but that's okay. You can just experiment with different colours. It's quite hard to get this wrong, really. Whatever colours you choose, you're still going to have something really nice at the end of it. Now, do you remember at the start we just had blobs of food colouring? Now, can you see we've got that beautiful marble effect going through? So what we're going to do then is going to get our paper that we're using and just gently lay it on top of that pattern that we've created, and just very gently pat it down. We don't need to push it right in, but you'll feel the paper starting to get wet from the shaving foam, and that's when you know that you're on the right track. So I'm going to put this aside for the moment. You get some of that kitchen roll that we had and just wipe the cocktail stick off so I don't get shaving foam everywhere. And we're just going to put this aside just for a minute. We'll leave the paper on the baking paper. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get another sheet of baking paper and we're going to pop that down. And this is for the final part of our paper colouring activity. So this bit of paper here, we've had that sitting there for about 30 seconds or a minute, ideally. And what we want to do is just gently pull that paper off from both sides, just as gently as you can. We're just going to pull the paper up there. It can be a bit fiddly, and it's easiest if you have two people helping you do this, but I've only got myself. So we're going to pop that down, and you can see that that's covered in the shaving foam and paint. And what we're going to do is get that knife that we had earlier. Now I can't remember where I've put mine because I was holding it just earlier. While I have a look for that, you can just make sure that you've pulled your paper off the right way. Okay, hope you've got your paper pulled off there. I found my knife in the end. It was just this side of me and I was looking that side. What can you do? Now I'll put my face back in here. And what we're going to do now, we've got this covered in the shaving foam and paint mixture. We're going to take the side of whatever we're using. You can use a ruler or you can use a blunt butter knife, anything like that, as long as it's got a kind of smooth edge there. We're going to take the smooth edge and we're just going to scrape that along the paper here. Just scraping it along. And this is where you're going to need that kitchen roll again. You scrape that up. We're just wiping the shaving foam off onto that towel there. So we're scraping all up the paper, scraping along to get that shaving foam off, because it's going to leave behind a beautiful pattern on the paper. So we're going to scrape it down all the way along. Just making sure that we've got all of the shaving foam off. And that takes a while to do this because we did put a lot of shaving foam on, didn't we? But that's okay. It's not a race. We're just trying to make something beautiful. And there we have our beautiful marbleized paper. I don't know if you can see there how lovely those swirling patterns are. I think they're really pretty. And you can use that, like I say, to write letters to people on. You can make a card out of it. You can cut it out and use it in a collage if you like. You can do it with different colours. I tried one earlier with a bit of green as well, but I don't think it looks as nice as the one just with red. What do you think? Tell me what you make of it. But that's a really nice, easy way to just make the white paper that you're writing your letters on a little bit more interesting. Okay, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think if you enjoyed making this, and hopefully see you soon. Take care from me and take care from my trouble there.